I'm self-critical for my tardiness. Just pointed out, I'm Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. I'm honored to be here. I want to again express revolutionary appreciations to the conveners of this event, to the various organizations that are here today, and to the people in general. Well, definitely, it's a significant day also, but it's being the birthday of Malcolm X, Elijah Shabazz. Also, my memory serves me correct, also the birthday of Ho Chi Minh. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Right on. I know a lot of other arenas, sometimes we got to do damage control about the history of Chicago, because we understand, like, wherever imperialism is, in particular in the United States and Chicago, I'm not saying this is some sort of set tripping type of way, but it is a microcosm of this whole country, and they do a great job with their propaganda. And as Malcolm X said, America's democracy is an hypocrisy. So I know there's a front of a lot of people. This system puts out the image that Chicago should be known for stuff, piece of Michael Jordan and basketball, but as we just pointed out, Chicago in particular has a notorious history. This is a city where many of the real American gangsters where they reside at. This is the notorious Daily Machine. As was pointed out, my father, Chairman Fred Hampton, who was assassinated, and I stress that term, assassinated by the United States government at the age of 21 years old, along with his comrade, Defense Captain Mark Clark, on the west side of Chicago, in the date which we define is one of the most brutal acts of terrorism to occur on U.S. soil. And in fact, right on the west side of Chicago, Monroe and Western, my mother to be, who just turned 18 years old, she was 8.5 months pregnant with me at the time, when the Chicago police, under the directions of the FBI, the infamous COINTEL program, which is an acronym for the Counterintelligence Program, in which the criminal J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, said in his own words, was a program created to discredit, to dismiss, to disrupt, and to destroy any black nationalist movement, especially amongst the youth, in which over 90% of their program was directed to Black Panther Party. It consisted of tactics such as the assassination of Lil Bobby Hutton in Oakland, California at the age of 17 years old. It consisted of tactics of forcing such people as Assata Shakur into political exile, who's still in political exile. It consisted of tactics of framing and kidnapping comrades throughout this country. And also it consisted of, as I pointed out, when the federal government via the Chicago Police Department came in at 4:35 a.m. on the west side of Chicago, armed with a floor plan. The floor plan that was so detailed they even knew a pack of cigarettes would be inside the house. And we define this day as one of our September 11 stories. We say, in fact, that we are the victims of terrorism, and we say that everything is political, including words and terms, and we attempt to heighten the level of conscience of people to start using brutal terms for brutal realities. The system, they get us caught up in using these euphemisms, applying nice terms to brutal realities, even saying, whether we talk with the Native community out of the American civilized in the community, in terms such as Polish brutality, we say we should use brutal terms for brutal realities. And as opposed to Polish brutality, we say it's Polish terrorism. This is the city of the infamous Lieutenant John Burge. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar about John Burge, with the torture tactics John Burge was the true definition of a homegrown terrorist. He was trained in Fort Benning, Georgia. He went to Vietnam and implemented these torture tactics, and came back from Vietnam and implemented these same tactics right here on the south side of Chicago. He took people such as Jack and Andrew Wilson, David Bates, Anthony Porter, Aaron Patterson, this goes on and on. South side of Chicago, handcuffed and stripped these young brothers to radiate and strip them naked, douse their bodies with water, electroshock their sex organs. And I'm not talking about across seas, I'm talking right inside the city of Chicago. I pointed out that he implemented these tactics in Vietnam because I think it's important. We are the imperialists. They respect no colonial borders. They connected. So it is so important, that we understand that, we must form principal coalitions and scientific relationships. That the resistance has to be connected. This is the city where the police run rampant. They just shot a young sister named Rakia Boyd on the west side of Chicago, drive-by style, shot in her face, cold blood. And it's to the point that even some of my respected people in our community that I represent in particular, sad to say, it sometimes becomes the quote-unquote norm. When you say what Asada Shakur said when she talked about we're being oppressed, and this goes for any oppressed people, we say also that it is embarrassing being oppressed. Again, I repeat, it is embarrassing being oppressed. But with being oppressed, we must continuously remind ourselves what is normal and what is abnormal. And I'm not in some sort of gloomy type way that we become demoralized, but again, to be able to, because after a while we start to believe that it's normal, you know what I'm saying, for these occupying forces, you know what I'm saying, to come through our communities. And like I said, I tell people in the west side of Chicago, so on and so forth, a lot of times with the ruling class, when they say today was a good day, they talk about how the stock markets look. When in colonized communities, when we say today was a good day, that may mean that we only got pulled over 2 or 3 times by the police. So again, we must up the ante and be very clear that it's Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye had a son, he said, this ain't living. We must be able to distinguish living from existence. And again, as I said earlier, everything is political. Words, terms, everything. We must heighten the level of conscience of the people, that we be able to distinguish reactionaryism from revolution. That we be able to distinguish stealing from liberating. We must be at a heightened level of conscience. The people be very clear that as opposed to riots, and that it's right to rebel. It is right to rebel. Right on? Revolutionary respect, clenched fist, all. I know people that travel long distance to come here. I'm glad that y'all, you know, said again, that everybody clear on the city, clear on the history of Chicago. I'm honored to be here. But again, a lot of arenas that I touch down in, we have to do damage control, because this system again is so Machiavellian, and the Daily Machine in particular, which the Andy has been up to this international gangster, Rahm Emanuel, when they Machiavellian with the propaganda, talking about how great the city of Chicago is. Nothing be further from the truth. Again, this is actual torture. They have actual torture chambers going down here. Cook County Jail, the infamous Cook County Jail on 26 in California. Right now, I'm not talking about in the 1960s, I'm talking about right now today. We have sisters, 17-year-old sisters who are forced to rinse out their sanitary napkins for reuse. I'm talking about today. I hate to be brutal, I hate to be graphic, but it's a graphic reality. Places like Pontiac Prison, prisoners are forced to go on visitation with black net mask over their face, and rubber grill over the mouthpiece, and chain and shackled down to the floor. I'm talking about 3 or 4 hours from where we are at right now. And we even struggle within our community to fight these euphemisms. As opposed to, these are not prisons, these are correctional centers, they are concentration camps. What they refer to as a gentrification, we refer to as the land grab. And our position is that the new housing that this ruling class has planned for the oppressed people is the penitentiaries and the graveyards. That's the new housing they have planned for our people. When we say what Minister U.E.P. Newton said, that we do not fight back, that we do not resist, it can be defined as nothing less than reactionary suicide. We know we're going against the odds. We done seen the ruling class brag and boast about the black ops helicopters they got. They done brag and boast about the military force they flood through the community, not just throughout Chicago, throughout the world. And I'm gonna say this also. I think it is fitting. It is also fitting that these gangsters should be in Chicago, because this has a history. Frank Sinatra said Chicago was this kind of town, and when he meant the history of gangsterism and cronyism that goes on in the city. So up there, this summit is nothing but a league of gangsters, organized crime. Organized crime. Through their propaganda, through the history channels and gang channels, when they have still such a propaganda job on the people. When they say terms like gang, we think about us, the oppressed people. We must be very clear who the real gangsters are, who the real American gangsters and banksters, the real American gangsters and banksters. People, what Chairman Fred referred to as these megalomaniacs. These are people who have detrimental effects on entire countries, entire people. And we understand that within our communities, within the people, that there will be contradictions. Let's be realistic about this. We're gonna have contradictions amongst each other. And the ruling class exploits that. They use racism, they use these other tools to exploit that. We must come in as realists, acknowledging that we will have differences, we will have contradictions. However, the Black Panther Party said differences amongst the people, differences amongst the people are reconcilable. However, difference between the people and the state are irreconcilable. Power to the people.
Keep it going for Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Thank you for your warm and militant welcoming to Chicago. Are we ready to